I have three questions I'd like to ask. The first one is the most simple of the three, and that is, which is better, to have love or have appreciation?
They are so close to the same vibration that it doesn't matter a whit. What we notice, however, is that for most people, the vibration of appreciation is easier to achieve because there is less attached to it of a negative nature. Usually, when you use the word appreciate, it's a cleaner vibration. Most people who are using the word appreciation are vibrating appreciation, but often people are using the word love when they're not vibrating anywhere near it. The mother says, "Don't you know I love you?" when she is far from the vibration of love. She's worried or she's angry, you see. So that's the only distinction that we would make. Whatever feels best to you, words don't matter.
Okay. My second question is a question that bothers me to my very core. It's probably the question that defines a lot of who I am, and that is, my background leads me to ask the question, does the God that is spoken of as Yahweh or Jehovah exist?
Of course.
Not as an extension of, an anthropomorphic thing that we project outward, but as a separate reality.
Well, that God does not exist as man has imagined that God to exist. But that does not take away the reality of the existence of that. In other words, you are an extension of that, but it does not satisfy you when we tell you that you are that. People have said to us, I had this image of God, and I liked my image of God better before I thought in terms of energy streams. I liked my image of God when I saw it as a separate entity who was overseeing and guiding. And we say all of that is true in the sense that there is overseeing. All of that is true in the sense that there is constant guidance. All of that is true in the sense that there is loving attention to that which you are and deep abiding care about how you are doing, and never-ending extension of awareness to you and support and assistance for you. But if you want it to be separate from that which you are, we cannot come to agreement of that. Someone said, Abraham, I'm a little unsettled because you speak not of God in your seminars. And we said, we speak of nothing else.
I understand that.
There have been many interpretations. Man has been struggling, and we use that word softly. It's been much bigger than the word struggle even implies. Man has been struggling for a very long time to understand his own understanding of the picture that he has made of God. And there are so many pictures that are so distorted that take so many people outside of themselves that they've lost track when the answer was within them all along. It was this vibrational points of relativity. In other words, that which you call God is within you, pulsing a steady beat always. And the way you feel is your indication of whether you are allowing your fullness of that or not, you see.
Yes.
And the thing that we think that we are asking you to reach toward, this is most of what we know about non-physical energy that you are calling God, that we are calling source and consciousness and well-being. Most of what we know, we can feel that you know too. You're not far from knowing what we know, except for this one small part. You don't quite yet get that you in this body are a pure extension of that, and that when you in this body define, contrast, and conclude your personal preference, that source who knows the power of your perspective morphs in to that which you are instantaneously. And that's the part that we so much want you to give up. We're addressing you as if you are all of humanity, but you're pulsing it here pointedly for us. We want you to give up your insistence on that separation. We want you to move your way up the emotional scale until you are in the vibration of love right out here on this leading edge. And we will never, ever, ever, no matter how many times you ask or anyone, we will never agree that that which is God is separate from that which is you.
Okay. I'm satisfied with that answer. Thank you.
Abraham, back to what you commented on earlier. I think the comment where I was coming from, it seemed to me that I was understanding God is that it kept changing its mind historically and depended on which part of the country it lived in about what it really wanted and demanded and gave and took from all of us. But it seemed like it got nicer all the time in all those areas in a way also. It was a nicer it as it went along. And so I was wondering if maybe God was just evolving and becoming nicer like people become nicer sometimes. And
God
you were
is
saying
evolving.
God, were you saying, was your answer just now God has not evolved, or you were just saying that isn't why we're seeing things get
Our
better?
answer is God was always nice. Yes, God is evolving.
Okay, thank you.
But when you start from a basis of love and continue to evolve, you don't get to revenge, and you don't get to hate, and you don't get to
Okay,
to
that
that
answered my question.
God.
Thank you very much.
That is a manifestation of man's disconnected mind and a misinterpretation of that which is God. And everyone who reads that text and feels that hate and anger and pain and discord in their heart is receiving personal guidance that says what you hear here that is reflected in hate and anger is far from the God that you seek. And if you will trust your own guidance rather than listening to their words, you will be on your path. And if you do not, you will be off your path. But don't worry, in time you'll croak and you'll be back on your path.
Hello, how are you?
Extremely well.
Good. I just got back from Peru, and we went to Machu Picchu on a retreat, a spiritual retreat. We met this lady, and she was talking about karmatic debts and karma credit, that kind of thing. Do we really have past debts that we pay? Karmatically. Like, for instance, she said that sometimes when my mother and I have a love-hate relationship, and she says that one of the reasons is because I was a queen in a previous life and that I took my mother's property away from her. Therefore, I'm getting my credit back in this life.
Well, here's the thing. Do you acknowledge that you are an extension of source energy?
Yes.
And do you acknowledge that as you made the decision to come forth into this body, that you were, from that vantage point, this pure positive energy being?
Yes.
So do you think that as that God self or that source energy, made the decision to project consciousness into this body, that you were remembering all that you've ever lived and that you were coming forth in an effort to make up for things that you did wrong before?
It doesn't make sense to me.
It doesn't make sense to us either. Now, let's look at it from another perspective. We're not telling you this. We're asking from your own personal exposure to life and the conclusions that you've come to, and the coupling with what you're hearing from us about it. Does it make sense that the negative emotion that you feel is the indication that the thought you're thinking doesn't jive with how your source energy self thinks about it? So if you were thinking a thought of unworthiness, or if you were thinking a thought as you are degrading yourself or someone else, and your inner being agreed with you about that thought, then there would be no gap in the vibration between you, and you would feel no vibrational discord. In other words, if your inner being would join you in that negative thought, you would not feel negative emotion. So the fact that you can feel negative emotion means that your inner being does not join you even in a negative thought. And if your inner being will not join you in a negative thought today, we promise you that your inner being will not send you back to a whole life experience to try to compensate for some previous wrongdoing. Logical, isn't it? Now, let us tell you how people come around to this. So here I stand, and it's obvious that I'm standing here because people are looking at me, I'm looking out through my eyes, and I have this whole life experience that is wrapped around me that is my reality. So here I be. It's hard to miss what is and where I am. And then humans, brilliant and desiring that you are, spend so much time trying to explain how you got here. So when we say you create your own reality, a lot of people say, that can't be because I wouldn't do this to me. It doesn't make sense that I would create for myself cancer, or I would create an automobile accident, or a bankruptcy, or a beating from someone I love. I can't create my own reality. I wouldn't do that to me. And then we explain, yes, you would do it to you, and you're the only one who can do it to you, but you might be doing it to yourself because you're offering vibrations that you don't know equal your point of attraction. People count so much on words, they don't really know about vibration. Most of you have forgotten. You got separated long ago from your awareness of your own guidance system. So we understand how a body of people or one person, it becomes a whole stream of mass consciousness in different ways. We understand how when your life isn't going the way you want it to go, and you want with all your heart for it to be different, and you try with all your might through action to make it different to no avail, we understand how you would begin to conclude that there must be some unseen force that's just holding you from it. And that's how those stories come up. That's how people conclude, I must have been bad in a past life, or I must not have been born under the right star, or there must be some unworthiness for which someone should die a horrible death to avenge all my sins. In other words, you come up with the most incredible stories to try to talk yourself out of being the keeper of your own vibration when you were born with a guidance system that lets you know in every moment, you see. So we don't fault people for conjuring those stories because many of those stories are well-meaning. And we also know that there are a lot of people who are building a lot of bridges. In other words, one of the first things that we want to do with you is to get you to stop feeling bad about things. Jerry did not like green beans. He was an adult and would not eat green beans. He could not stand the thought of putting a green bean in his mouth. And then one day he was having dinner with his grandfather, who offered him green beans that his new wife had grown in the garden and prepared magnificently. And Jerry said, no, thank you. Well, that wasn't good enough for grandfather. He really wanted Jerry to experience these wonderful green beans. And finally, Jerry just said, I eat most everything, but I don't like green beans. And his grandfather said, do you know why you do not like green beans? When you were a baby, your mother read an article that green beans were very good for you. And so she bought a lot of green beans. And for about 2 years of your life, you had green beans for breakfast and green beans for lunch and green beans for dinner. All of us around you were wondering why you yourself did not turn into a green bean, because it was just about the only thing that you were ever offered. And when Jerry heard that and sort of understood what his reluctance to them had been, then he was willing to try a new experience and found the green bean that he was eating now to be to his liking. And so he's pondered over time, maybe there is value in going back somewhere and understanding something. And we say there is value in anything that causes you to release resistance. And sometimes hearing something like that might cause you to release resistance. Now, we don't think it helped you release resistance because we think that you thought it was cockamamie. We think that you thought that it was silliness. We heard the way you laughed. It seemed absurd to you. So a story like that didn't resonate in any way, and it didn't give you any relief. But we don't fault people for offering parables or analogies or stories for the purpose of helping you to release resistance, because anything that you do that causes you to release resistance is beneficial to your experience. But you ask us a question, we must give you our answer.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, indeed.